Welcome to Pop Culture Intervention Minisode. This is Willa.
Hi guys, this is Paul.
This is Charlie.
And this is Abraham.
And our guest this week is...
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Kristen's here.
Hi Kristen, welcome back.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here. So this week on the Minisode, we do have some fan mail.
Woo!
All right.
Thank you, fans.
We got a fan-tervention
All right.
question from Mr. Luke out there in the ether. And I would like to say thanks to all of our, loyal fans we have missed a few weeks as far as posting, so, life got in the way a little bit. But Luke was one of the few people who told me, hey, I've really missed you guys haven't been putting out episodes, and I kind of assumed no one would notice or care. So
Thanks, Luke.
At least
Thanks,
somebody notices.
So Luke says, long time listener, first time writing in, I have a question. I'd like to hear your take on the cast replacement game. If you're unfamiliar, this is where you choose which movie you would remake, replacing the entire cast with puppets, except for one role of your choosing to be played by the human actor. For example, one friend of mine told me he would choose Face Off and keep Nicolas Cage as the human actor, so that during the face swap part of the film, the villain would be a real person with a puppet face, and our hero would be a puppet with Nicolas Cage's human face.
Yes.
So he says, what movie would each of you choose, and who would be your human actor? Bonus question, would you like Jim Henson Muppets in your movie? If not, what kind of puppets would they be? Signed, Snoopaloop.
Cool.
Thanks,
That's
Snoop.
awesome.
That's a great question.
That is a good question, and it's going to be hard to beat his own suggestion.
I
That
know.
was pretty good. The Face Off. Any Nick Cage movie I think would be pretty interesting, just leaving him surrounded by Muppets. I don't know. But I thought about this, and the first one, and I couldn't think of one that I would rather see, Home Alone. Keeping Macaulay Culkin, everyone else is a Muppet.
That's awesome. Especially
I like
the
it.
bandits, the wet bandits as Muppets.
I think that would be really fun to see those.
Jim Henson style Muppets.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely,
that's
yeah.
hard to beat, that style.
So then all the times they get I don't know, it's hard to watch that movie because all the pranks he pulls on them, they get they would be seriously injured.
Exactly, that's why it would be
So-
fun. Yeah, a Muppet
So
just
with
flopping
puppets,
around.
they could
and,
do even worse. They could,
Exactly,
drop
yeah.
nails and pianos
and
on
you don't
their
have to
heads.
feel as bad, when you
Yeah.
see a Muppet getting hurt compared to, Daniel Stern.
Yeah,
Good old
Joe
Daniel
Pesci.
Stern and Joe Pesci.
Speaking of Luke, I think Luke approves of Joe Pesci in Home Alone.
And would you want any Muppets? Who would play?
Specific
Everyone.
Muppets?
Anyone in particular you would cast?
No, I would want just Muppet versions of the characters, I think.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. How about you guys? Anyone else?
Well, I just read that email out loud, so that was a lot of talking for me. But
Well, we did this, or originally received this email the week we did The Sixth Sense. So I thought that would have been a funny one. And maybe Haley Joel Osment is the only one that's not a Muppet.
That'd be cool.
So basically he sees Muppets.
Yeah.
I
see
see
Muppet
dead
people.
Muppets.
I want to go with Jurassic Park.
Mm.
And Jeff Goldblum is the only human character. And then even the dinosaurs are puppets.
Or Muppets?
Nice.
They're puppets.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, Willa asked me this question in advance, and I thought about it this morning, and the only one that kept popping into my head was Speed. I don't know why, but I think probably Dennis Hopper would stay Dennis Hopper.
I was wondering who you'd pick. That's
Yeah.
a good one, Dennis Hopper.
And then everyone else is on a
That's
Muppets on a bus.
twisted.
Totally panicking.
Yeah.
Somehow
Yeah.
the thought of terrorism against Muppets is so much more traumatic to me. That's evil, Dennis Hopper.
Well, funny enough, I also had one pop right into my head, and I haven't been able to think of any other ones. And I would pick Fargo and keep Frances McDormand, of course,
Margie?
as the very pregnant human cop. And then just all these idiotic
Oh, that would be
Muppets.
great.
And I just love the idea of super bloody Steve Buscemi
As
as
a
a
Muppet.
Muppet. And like I was thinking about that scene where they kidnap the wife. It would be so over the top slapstick because it would just be like a Muppet falling down the stairs.
and
like
the accents.
The accents would be really funny.
Muppets with that North Midwestern accent.
Oh, it just really cracked me up. And I like the idea too of her being married to a Muppet. So like when they have those little cute scenes in bed, and you're like, wow,
Norm.
what kind of baby's gonna come out of there? It's gonna be a happy.
I like the idea of carnage against the Muppets, so I thought maybe Jaws.
Yeah.
All the human characters are Muppets, but now we have a photorealistic CGI shark terrorizing them with real blood and gore.
That's great. I love that. That's
R-rated.
Cool.
Good question, Luke.
Good question.
Yeah,
Good
thanks,
question,
Luke.
Luke.
Thanks
Send
for
us
listening.
your answers, listeners.
Yeah,
If
we'd
you
love
have
to
any
hear
good
from
ideas.
you. We are, of course, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that. So we'd love to hear from y'all about, what your Muppet cast replacement game. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
It is.
Yep, the classic Muppet cast replacement game
Yep.
that
So,
everyone plays.
and if you, of course, have any questions for us, shoot them our way to PCIPodcast@gmail.com.
Excellento.
That's not right.
Oh.
Excellent.
Excellent day. If you're doing Spanish,
I'm doing Polish.
Esperanto.
you're Polish.
Excellent.
Not Polish. Polish. Does that wrap it up for the...
Is that the end of the mini? Anything else?
I think I can make that into
Okay.
a very short episode.
That's it, because we should probably put something out today.
Yeah, that would be. And now music.
Hey, Kristen,
Yeah.
have you ever seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
No.
Oh.
Never.
What?
I know.
Merritt!
Terry
I
Gilliam.
hated to admit it, but
Oh man.
Hold on.
You love Terry Gilliam, though, don't you? Or you've seen...
yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen a good handful, and I appreciate his work.
Yeah.
And
cool.
Johnny Depp? I mean, everyone loves Johnny Depp, right?
Yes.
Benicio del Toro.
Yes.
Oh man, we
You guys
gotta
are
go watch
spoiling it.
this.
I don't think she's seen it. All right, let's get
Well,
on
let's
it.
go watch it.
All right.
All right,
Intervention.
Welcome to Pop Culture Intervention. This is the movie podcast where we find movie virgins and introduce them to movies they definitely should have seen. This week we just watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with our friend Kristen. Hi, Kristen.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
In our temporary pod loft, we're doing a lot of renovations at Camp Wilbraham, and yeah, we're in the living room. It's kind of chaotic. Abe has hung blankets everywhere.
Yes.
makeshift sound
For
room.
fashion and acoustics.
Passion. Oy. Don't let him remodel the bedroom, please.
It's beautiful in here.
Yeah. So,
How's everybody doing? This is Paul, by the way.
Yeah, who else is here?
This is Charlie.
This is Abraham.
Charlie has gotten over his measles. He's
I
back.
Did. Yep. Took
Welcome
me about
back,
a month
Charlie.
And a half. Yeah, it took
Yeah.
a month and a half.
Thanks to Steve.
We missed you.
Thank you, Steve, for filling in for me. So yeah, what's going on, guys? It's nice to see you. Missing your faces mostly.
I know it's starting to be springtime.
Yeah.
Almost. The grass
So it's
is
been a
green.
while since we've had an episode.
It
so
has been.
Getting back into the groove of things here.
This is a good one to start back out with.
Yeah.
It's cult classic. Cult classic. So what'd you think of it, Kristen?
Kristen, first impressions,
Uh,
or I guess what did you know going into it?
I knew that
Or
it
how much?
involved a lot of drugs in Las Vegas.
Okay, good.
And was based on Hunter S. Thompson's novel, which I had never read, so
Sure.
I really didn't know not a whole lot about it.
Okay.
But boy, was that stimulating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you explain it any better now that you have seen it?
Yeah, please
know
tell us
any
what
more?
the fuck was going
Well,
on.
I will tell the listeners that eventually, probably 20 minutes in, we decided to put the subtitles on, since
Yes.
Johnny
yes.
Depp speaks through a cigarette the
entire time, yeah.
movie, and it's hard to understand him. So once we did that, then I was starting to piece together what was happening. So, okay. They went to Vegas from LA so that he could write a story about a race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about a Portuguese person? Something.
Portuguese photographer.
There was something about a Portuguese person.
That's
has
a lot
to
of
do with their
nonsense.
race.
It
Yeah.
might,
It really
might have been a
doesn't.
casual racist comment.
Yeah.
I noticed that Hunter threw out a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly against Samoans, but
Okay. And they
Could've been.
decided to do a bunch of drugs during this weekend.
Yes.
I don't know if they
That's-
have a choice. I think they're addicts. I think that's the only way they can get through it.
Well,
I think they used the job as an excuse.
To go get real messy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the book and the movie suggest that this all took place in one weekend, or over a course of a few days. But a lot of things that have come out over the years is that this was actually several different trips that Hunter took to Las Vegas with his attorney, which is a real person. This is a real. It was
Is
a
he
real friend
actually
of
an
his.
attorney?
He is.
Is he actually a doctor?
That's when we get into,
Questionable.
yeah. He was actually a friend of Hunter S. Thompson's. His name was Oscar Zeta Acosta, and this is some trivia about him or just some knowledge. He disappeared in the 70s in South America, and everyone just presumes he was dead. And a lot of the idea was that he had a big mouth, and just like in the movie, he was kind of an aggressive person, left-wing, socialist kind of nut in the 70s, 60s, and 70s.
Not
lawyer.
very nice to women.
No.
Not remotely, I mean.
He had a high temper,
No.
and a lot of the theories are that he got murdered in South America. So,
Wow.
Or
Reportedly
overdose.
drowned. is
yeah,
the-
that was one of them too.
yeah. Assumed drowned.
What year did the book come out?
Ooh, I don't know what year the book came out. I'd have to look it up real quick. This movie came out in 1998.
I know that. And it's supposed to be taking place in 71.
Yes.
So I was just wondering.
Well, someone paid attention. Should we do the
Let's do trivia.
Oh.
retention intervention real quick
let's-
since she's showing up?
Intervention.
Retention intervention. Retention intervention. All right, I got a couple of questions. You guys got questions?
We got
I
some
have
questions.
some questions, yeah.
All right.
I have so many questions.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. I like this.
Like naive
Sure.
girl. Don't know what these words mean.
Oh, okay, good.
Fun.
I'll start off with what I think was an easy one. When they started inhaling the ether, what was the design on the rag they chose to use? What was their ether rag they kept huffing? Oh, maybe not so easy.
No. It wasn't the American flag, right? Was it?
It was the American flag. Yes, it
Well,
was.
I know that was kind of seen throughout.
Yeah,
It
it's kind
popped
of a
up a
theme.
couple
So-
times.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah,
good
it's all
guess
over
then.
this movie.
But yeah, they were using a American. I don't know if there's a metaphor or whatnot. There's too many weird things in this movie to go into each and every.
It's just
one.
respect for the flag.
Okay. What song is playing in the very opening of the film?
The very opening of
It's the first song that plays, I believe.
Was it?
Other than the dun dun dun.
All I can think is the one took over the line. Was that a little later though?
That was later.
Yeah.
I thought you would notice because it is from a musical that you like.
Oh.
Sound of Music.
Yeah, I did. I can't remember now.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Paul was
Oh,
outside.
yeah.
People were talking.
Just before we put the subtitles on.
Distracted.
Got off to a rocky start.
Well, I figured that would be a good one, good question for you, but apparently not.
Well, are you gonna tell me which one it was?
I just told you.
Which one was
A
it?
few of my favorite things.
Oh, thanks.
I got
If
one
that's
for
what-
music
yeah.
too.
Oh,
So during the scene where Dr. Gonzo is having the bad trip in the bathtub, he requests Hunter to play a song for him before throwing the tape recorder or the player into the bathtub with him. What is the name of the song and who is it by?
White Rabbit Jefferson Airplane.
There you go.
Got it. All right. Since we're on the music theme, who was the performer that they kind of
Debbie Reynolds.
Yes, Debbie Reynolds. And a little bit of trivia there. That was actually Debbie Reynolds' voice that you heard. They had her come in and
I saw that she was on the cast list.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
They had her come in and sing a little bit.
so
Sweet.
many cameos.
They just really wanted
Yeah,
that
we'll get to that
authenticity.
later. Why not? Apparently, they were friends with Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher being the daughter of Debbie Reynolds.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Made it happen.
What was the name of the circus they went to?
I don't know this one.
Bazooka?
Close. Bozuko.
Oh
yeah.
it was spelled funny.
Yeah.
There
Based
was
on the
so much to look at.
Circus
Yeah,
Circus
scene.
Casino.
And it's what's great is it's impossible to know what could have really been there and what is completely imagined or exaggerated. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way to
Yeah,
know
the setting makes it very vague as to
what's real.
where the edges bleed over.
Yep.
So there is a theme to this movie, even though they don't really explain it. But Hunter is chasing what during this movie? What is the theme that he's trying to find? He mentions it a few times in the movie. There was a point in his mind going to Vegas and doing all this crazy shit. He was in search of the American dream.
Oh.
And they were trying to find it in Vegas.
I guess that adds up with the American flag imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
he
there's-
does mention it
During a
couple times.
very crazy time in American history, 71 with Vietnam, and Hunter was very much against Richard Nixon. He called him his nemesis, and for people who don't know, Hunter S. Thompson was big into politics. He worked for Rolling Stone. He used to do this thing, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail,
Right.
and he would follow Nixon, and he hated Nixon. And if you've never read those, they're really interesting to read. But anyways, side note.
Yeah.
What two hotels do they stay in?
Tropicana and the Flamingo.
Yeah. Nice.
Correct.
Thank you, notes.
All right. I'm going to give you a list of motorcycle brands. You tell me which one was not mentioned by the photographer.
Oh, goodness.
He mentioned a lot.
Kawasaki, Mitsubishi, Husqvarna, Triumph. Which one of those did I make up? Or did I add?
Second one. Did
I
you say Mitsubishi?
Yeah. That's correct. It was not Mitsubishi, but the other ones were all
Yeah.
mentioned. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Keeping those ears alert. What drug did they do in this movie? A,
Wait, they did
ether,
drugs in this movie?
B, acid, C, mescaline, D, coke, something called adrenochrome,
Adenochrome.
Ade-
or adrenochrome.
F,
Adrenochrome.
opium, or Z, all of the above.
They didn't do opium.
They didn't? I
They
thought
talked
did.
about getting it, but I don't think they ever
Yeah,
got
I
it.
don't think
Okay.
they do it. They might have it in their kit, but yeah, they don't.
Yeah, I don't think
Well, he was
they-
saying, like,
who
go
knows?
get some, so I thought they didn't have any.
Yeah.
Was he, unless that scene where he's smoking out of the light bulb, unless that was opium, I always thought it was marijuana, but
I don't know
It
what
could've
that
been
I
was.
thought
opium.
he
They
was
don't
just
mention what it
smoking
is.
whatever the contents of the light bulb was.
He's like, filament really gets you a real funny feeling.
Tungsten.
I would guess it probably would get you messed up in some way. I don't know.
Gotta ride that Edison train.
That's right.
Don't want to know.
That's funny.
All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one. It's kind of tough. Do you remember the 4 classifications?
I
Oh wow!
Finish the question for
The
the
4
listeners.
classifications of the. I don't know if it's specifically a drug user or just a young person.
Yes.
I think it was marijuana user.
Was
Yeah.
it just
Dope fiend.
dope
or
fiend?
whatever.
Yeah.
It goes square to feeling hip to feeling groovy to feeling cool.
Yeah, got it.
I did not get any of that. I was so confused about what the frick that guy was trying to talk about.
Yeah,
Must
I know,
be you
that
only
was
get
so
to the
weird.
hip.
I think it was
Yeah,
just pointing out
that's
how
right.
out of touch.
I'm just so square.
cops are.
I didn't understand.
That's
Yeah,
all
when-
my questions.
And when he
Anybody
like cracks a joke and everybody starts laughing and they're just like, that doesn't even make sense.
else?
You know nothing.
Yeah. Stupid cops.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
now?
go for
Please.
it.
Okay, so at one point, Johnny Depp is talking to Benicio, and he's like, "What do you need? You need to eat some Reds. Do you need to?" And then he started talking about other drugs. What's eat some Reds?
I would guess it's pills.
probably a pill to calm him down.
Yeah.
Because they mentioned they have uppers, downers.
It might be red for up and blue for down, though. I'm not 100%.
Red
But
pill,
I-
blue pill.
I think
Matrix
it's
style.
yeah,
I just feel better.
We
knowing
need some
that-
people to call in and let us know
yeah.
what that means.
We're ignorant.
I was picturing like
See
red hot dogs.
drugs and
I knew that's
paraphernalia.
not what it was, but I was like, maybe he just needs a little food in his
Maybe he does.
stomach.
He needs a
Some Maine red hots.
29-cent hot dog.
That's
Ooh.
right.
Yeah.
And how much was the pie?
The pie was 35 cents a
That's right.
slice and $5 for the pie.
Some good prices.
I know.
back in '71.
I
It's
thought
a high price to pay for your dignity.
I mean, he pieced a lot of this story together by literally wearing a recording device on him while they would do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he would listen to it back, and he would try to decipher what they were doing. Because, I mean, obviously some of this is kind of embellished to fit a good
It is?
story. Yeah. Well, that's Hunter S. Thompson's style. Like, he writes in a way that there is.
I know,
truth
Charlie. I
there.
was joking. We all know.
I know. I know. I'm just explaining Hunter. Like, he wrote in a style that embellished on, the truth a little bit, but there was a story there, and he just wanted to make it more exciting.
That's
So-
kind of Gilliam's style too, is
Yeah.
to heighten
Right.
reality,
Right,
even if the movie seems to take place in the real world.
Right. And a funny thing, Terry Gilliam never did any drugs in his life. So when he did this movie, he was just basing it off of experience that people told him or what he read about. And a lot of Johnny Depp afterwards said, "You nailed it. Like, this is what it's like when you feel this way when you're going through these certain kinds of drugs," which I always found interesting.
Johnny Depp does drugs?
I mean,
Why
seems
no
like
forever?
it. Seems like it.
I even think there can be like a backwards feedback from now people who do acid today probably grew up watching this movie and expect this to be what it's like, and therefore that's what an acid trip is like in the modern day.
Oh, okay. You think it helped define?
Kind of in the way like the colors and like the music of the late 60s is kind of the product and the source material for what the cultural idea of an acid trip is. I think
Sure.
that's what this movie is for like the 90s. And
There was a movie starring Peter Fonda, I think, right around the Easy Rider era, which was also a drug-heavy movie, but it was just called The Trip. And it was just about this dude's first time taking acid, and it was made in late 60s, early 70s, and it was
Trying to
it
represent
had all that stuff that you think of when you think of like hippies tripping acid in the 60s,
just
the
like-
psychedelic colors and the hey man, chill out, which did kind of define what I thought, as a kid, what being a hippie was, man, and doing acid was. So I think you got a point on like how movies can define
I always think of
what a drug experience is for a generation.
Yeah, I always think of the pattern in the carpet coming to life, which I don't know if people have told me that's an experience they've had or if I just know it from this movie. But that's just
Exactly,
kind of like
yeah.
one of the first things I think about when I think about an acid trip.
I don't think this movie makes drugs seem fun though.
No.
Like it makes
No.
it seem very terrifying and something you wouldn't want to do.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I kept thinking, remember when we did when Harry Met Sally? I keep saying that. When we did Sleepless in Seattle, we're like, this movie is like one change away from being like a stalker movie. This movie with like a different soundtrack and a few different choices is a horror movie, like a straight up horror movie.
I was pretty horrified at a few points.
Yeah.
Well, mostly all the throwing up was not. I didn't.
But a lot of the way the camera was
Yeah.
moving constantly, the colors, like
No,
When Johnny Depp is like crawling on the floor after he does that adrenochrome, which I still want to talk about, and Benicio's like, settle down, you're gonna have a stroke, you're gonna
Brain bubbles.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm having so much anxiety during that scene.
yeah, it is horrifying.
and then you just like hope that he's just gonna go under that blanket and fall
Chill.
asleep. No, then he
Yeah.
wakes up like days later with an alligator costume on. And you're just like, what the hell?
Fishing waders on.
There's
So-
a lot of uncomfortable scenes. in
Okay,
this
so
movie.
is that what it was? Adrenochrome.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
It's not real. It's a
not
made
real.
up drug.
Yeah,
for
they
this
made it
movie.
up.
Okay.
Or book. I think it's in the book too.
It is.
Yeah, I'm
It's in the book, and they mentioned when one of the first screenings, Terry Gilliam, someone came up to him and was like, "Oh man, you really nailed it with all those drug experiences, especially the adrenochrome. Man, I've done it, and that's exactly what it's like." And he said he was too polite to point out that they made it up,
We
so
made
he
it
just
up.
kind of politely nodded and was like, "Oh, thank you."
Have you also
knowing that it was
chewed on an
perfect.
adrenaline gland? or
or a pineal
milk?
gland?
Yeah, pineal gland.
Drink blood will get you higher
Which
than you've ever been.
I happen to know the pineal gland thing that's supposed to be your third eye, I guess.
Exactly,
It's like part of
yeah.
your brain in the middle of your forehead.
Oh.
And it's supposed to have DMT or be like the body's natural way of producing DMT.
Yeah.
And they theorize that when you have a near-death experience or when you die, you release that and you have like a psychedelic experience. But it's interesting that they pepper that in there. And if we didn't have the subtitles on, you could have missed that conversation about the pineal
yeah.
gland.
Yeah, exactly. Would have just flown right by.
But that's pretty
mumbled
No, I,
everything else.
I was glad the subtitles were on. That there's that scene where Dr. Gonzo's like in the tub, ranting. He's just literally drooling all over himself. He's hardly saying words, and yet the subtitles seem to
Yeah.
think he was saying something.
full sentences.
Well, there were sometimes the subtitles were incorrect about
Yeah.
what he was saying. Because he says something like, here we go, and he's actually trying to say, turn it up, when Red Rabbit's playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's,
As a speech therapist, I really struggle. Articulate.
I've never watched
You're like,
the-
people, stop trying to wreck your brain.
I've never watched it with
Red
subtitles
leather,
before.
yellow leather.
But you pick up on a lot when you watch it with the subtitles. It's pretty much word for word the book. Gilliam just kind of went, he took the dialogue from the book and wanted to make it visually interesting, which is so much going on in every scene. Like anytime they're in a big room with a lot of people, you can focus on one
insanity.
person and see something different.
That was another thing that helped out with the subtitles, which is true of a lot of movies, is it'll pick up conversations in the background sometimes that are relevant to the movie that they definitely want you to know, but if you weren't watching the subtitles, you may have just blend it into the background. But having the subtitles there, you're like, oh, that guy was just talking about that thing, Cool little, Easter eggs within the movie.
Question for you guys that I have. Lots of cameos in this movie.
Oh yeah, can we get
Does-
to the cameos?
yeah.
There's so many cameos.
Who's everyone's favorite cameo in the movie?
Mine is Sven.
I was gonna say that. Damn it! I should have gone first.
Ah, Christopher Maloney.
He's great.
Oh, that was so great as Sven. I want Sven to have his own movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, as like a Las Vegas hotel
Yeah,
clerk.
or like a TV show. Come on, Netflix.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
I had
Yep.
forgotten
In the 70s.
that Cameron Diaz was in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of my
I
favorites.
had no idea she was in this.
My real favorite, though, is Tobey Maguire.
Oh, that's a good one too.
At the
Yeah.
beginning and the end.
As just the freaked out kid.
Sweaty.
Poor guy.
The worst
Balding.
hair. Yeah.
Balding.
Yeah.
Got a
Yeah.
skullet.
There's a little bit of trivia. I don't know if anyone noticed it, but some of the scenes with Tobey Maguire, his hair looked a little off, and that was because they had to go back and reshoot some stuff. But his hair, they actually shaved his hair the first time to make it look like that, but his hair had grown back, so they had to put on a bald cap, and it looked really bad, and they had to spend more money than they I guess Tobey Maguire wanted $15,000 to shave his head again, and they're like, no, we're not going to pay him, but they spent more money
On the
on the
makeup.
special effects to make it look right.
Oh my god.
Classic.
That's funny.
He barely even has any lines.
I know.
Kristen.
I was happy to see Harry Dean Stanton.
Yes,
Yeah.
Harry Dean.
Very briefly, but that was nice.
Did you know Harry Dean Stanton and Hunter were very good friends?
Ah.
Yeah, I learned in my research that he does the narration for the audio version of the book.
Oh.
And so, was Hunter S. Thompson still alive when this movie came out?
Yes.
What did he think of
He
it?
was in the movie.
He was in the movie.
He was?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
at one point he does a cameo where they're in
The
1965.
Oh, and he even
Yeah.
says, that's
Yeah.
me?
Yep.
It's like, holy shit.
That's
That's
Aaron.
him.
Oh.
That's really him.
Oh, that's
Cool.
funny. Did he approve of the movie? Did he think it was true to it?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he was happy with it. I mean, they didn't deviate from the book really at all, so I don't see why he wouldn't have been. And actually, Johnny Depp moved in with Hunter S. Thompson for a while to learn his mannerisms. He lived in the basement, and they became really good friends, and their
Yeah.
friendship carried on years and years
Does
after
he
this
really
movie.
walk bow-legged?
I don't know.
Only on mescaline.
I mean, Hunter.
It's funny you say that. Apparently, like, Hunter loved his portrayal, Johnny Depp's portrayal. But he said if he ever saw someone acting like Johnny Depp acted in that movie, he would throw a chair at him.
There were definitely times where I was like rolling my eyes a little bit about Johnny Depp being so Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I'm sure it's exaggerated, all the,
But
wonkiness.
It really gets
Especially at
annoying
the
later
beginning. I
when
got-
he keeps doing this
yeah,
to be Willy Wonka,
Right.
walking around bow-legged.
you're just like, try a different character, dude.
he did a really good job of Hunter's, like, the way he speaks.
Yeah.
Like the way he pronounces things.
The
and
cadence and the-
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, more on their friendship. They traded cars before the filming. Because that car, that red convertible, actually Hunter S. Thompson's real car. And I guess to practice driving it, Johnny Depp borrowed it and swapped out his car. So Hunter S. Thompson drove around L.A. in Johnny Depp's car while writing a book called Fear and Loathing in Hollywood.
Car
Factoid
swap.
there, yeah, car swap story.
Oh, another good cameo, Gary Busey as the
Yeah.
lonely cop.
Yeah.
That was
Fuck
my
yeah.
favorite cameo.
One of the
Oh,
kids.
that's a
here's-
good one.
Here's a good funny thing about that. That was improv. So when he says, "Can I have a little kiss?"
Yeah.
When Depp looks like all weird to the side as he's looking at Gilliam to be like, cut, like, and they kept it in the movie just because they liked it.
That's funny.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's funny. Gary Busey's weird as shit. Mm-hmm. And then who else did we have? We had
Christina
Christina
Ricci.
Ricci was
Christina
in it.
Ricci. Ellen Barkin.
Penn.
Penn
Yes,
from Penn and
Penn
Teller.
Teller.
Yep, in the circus scene. I thought that was pretty perfect.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw on IMDb that Lyle Lovett is in it somewhere, but I didn't see him.
He's also
He's
in
the
the
drug
flashback.
dealer.
Yeah, he's the guy who wants to make acid. He's
I just need a place
I
to
just
cook
need a
it.
place to
Where he's
cook.
talking in slow motion.
Really?
He wants
Oh, that's
LSD.
really funny.
Flea's in that
Flea.
scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, licking the
he's
red
licking
shirt.
off the red flannel shirt.
Is that something that people quote? I was thinking when the guy was like, "Anybody want some LSD?" I feel like I've heard. Maybe it's just a grassroots.
No,
Yeah,
there are
I
a
think it
couple
might depend where you
things.
are.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying that everywhere. I don't know if it's a quote from the movie or...
The ice water with ice.
Yeah.
Two ice waters with ice.
Yeah.
2 ice waters with ice. That one I've heard
The whole
quoted
pie.
before.
Oh, okay.
The whole pie.
This is Bat Country.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard that one before.
Can't stop here. This is bad country.
Yeah. What are some other pop culture references from this movie?
I mean, it's not super
Tell me about the
quotable.
fucking golf shoes.
There's, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much dialogue and they talk so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And mumbly. You don't know what they're saying half the time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of background noise, you know, in every scene, like Paul was saying, there's always chit chatter, and if you can like pick up on some of those conversations, which makes it hard to focus. But I think that was part, intentional to make it just seem way more chaotic.
For me, it's got to be White Rabbit. White Rabbit.
Oh wait, Rev.
That's definitely.
I may have.
That's fucking amazing.
I mean, it's funny. Like, I think this movie's funny, and I think I felt it was more humorous when I was younger, but this time around I was like, ew, this is just fucked up. Like, if they did even half of this stuff, it's pretty terrible. And Dr. Gonzo is such a non-likable character. Because he's just
funny
such
how
a dick.
It's changed for you like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I
So how old were you when you first saw it?
And
And
I think
everyone
I
for
was
that matter?
16 the
Okay.
first time I saw this.
I watched it in '98. I was either in high school or a freshman in college. I remember watching it in college, though. Not at theaters. Didn't see it in theaters. It was on the campus student-run channel they'd have a slot.
They would encourage college students to watch this movie.
Oh, they would pick the coolest movies because they got to control the content, and as long as they got approval, they could show pretty much whatever movie they want. So yeah, it would always be like stuff that college kids are gonna want to watch.
Fun.
And I remember just having it on in the background. Like that was probably the third time I had ever watched it beginning to end. But I've seen so much of that movie just in random parts. You know, like before we go out or we come home and it's on. And like, oh yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, I think I've seen that opening scene dozens of times.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Where they're driving and he's freaking out about the bats and Elijah Wood shows up. But same
Toby Maguire.
Toby Maguire.
Interchangeable.
Same thing.
Who'd you say?
Woohoo,
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood.
Not a Hobbit.
It's great.
Not a Hobbit. Sorry.
Ooh, they were both in
To
the
both
ice
of
storm,
you.
though.
Both in
thank you.
what?
The ice storm?
I don't know
You guys seen
one.
that? Ang Lee?
But I don't actually remember the first
like
time I
them.
saw it. I was probably in the basement at Foster Road where I grew up, probably with Mark and Sylvan, but I don't really remember. I vaguely remember something like that, maybe. But again, I find this movie kind of hard to watch, so I don't think
Yeah, I
there's
agree.
been many times where I've sat through the whole thing where, I might watch a scene
Yeah.
while someone else has it on, and then I'm like, all right, that's enough of this. Because actually, that scene where they're really having a bad trip in the first hotel room, and he's like freaking out in the bathtub and all. I find that scene so dark and hard to watch. It's like so uncomfortable to me, and I don't know. I don't necessarily enjoy watching this film. Like
I
I
have to
did laugh
agree,
this time,
yeah.
and maybe it's just because you guys were here, but I don't know. I find it pretty awful. No, I mean it's a great film. Like it's so well made, and there's
Stylistically,
stylistically
it's
it's amazing.
interesting.
There's so
Yeah.
much going to look at. Like it's overwhelming though.
Yeah,
not exactly
I
like
agree.
a
and
Sunday
It is.
chill movie.
It's intense. Yeah.
yeah.
there's no real plot to follow.
Right.
You
Well, I was saying that earlier. Like I was like, I don't even remember any of this. And is it because there's no plot to
Yeah.
ground it? Or just a bunch of random scenes from
it is. Yeah.
I definitely came to it on cable first. So it is one of those where you jump in and see chunks of it, not necessarily watch the whole thing all the way through. Yeah, you might see the first scene over and over again. But it kind of works that way because there isn't a through line. You kind of get the themes. You get the themes coming through, even if you're just watching little
Watching
bits
it in
and
pieces.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the themes that stuck out to me this time was kind of the spirituality of it. When he was talking about, like, the great magnet was guiding him. Like, I think that's a really interesting concept for, like, a godlike figure being a magnet. I don't know, I'd never thought of it that way. And
Yeah.
there's a few different references he made like that I was like, huh.
There's a really good monologue in the middle of the movie too. He talks about like the '60s and the hippie era and Woodstock and all that stuff, and what at the time they thought they were part of something bigger that was going to be beautiful and be a revolution. But by the '70s, he kind of felt like they lost touch of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he was also saying they weren't prepared for, the reality of things.
Yeah.
Like, they thought it was just going to be all, rainbows and sunshine, but they forgot about the other side of that it opens up.
Well, I mean, in the Nixon era was pretty
Yeah.
dark, and Hunter was very much adamant against him, and felt he was a villain, which I think a lot of people did, and look back at it now as
What?
he was.
I thought he was a good guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I mean, Fear and Loathing's fun. The movie is intense. The books is extremely intense as well. I think Hunter's other work is better. I think this is just like became an underground pop culture success. The movie got panned.
Yeah.
Didn't get good critical reception at all,
I saw that.
and I
Oh,
can
I'm
see
sure.
why.
Yeah.
It's
Not
it's
super
definitely a cult
relatable
classic.
to the average
Right,
Joe.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not the first adaptation either. There was a version made in the early 80s with Bill Murray and
Oh,
Peter
where the
Boyle.
buffaloes
Peter
roam
Boyle.
or
Yeah, where the
whatever. Yeah,
buffalo
someone
roam.
suggested we watch both and compare them.
Oh.
Yeah, Bill Murray plays Hunter. It's a more grounded story. It's
Yeah.
actually based more about him on the campaign trail against Nixon.
Ah.
But the Dr. Gonzo's in that too, played by Peter Boyle. Much calmer version of Dr. Gonzo. And Bill Murray does a really good job of portraying Hunter too, I think. I would
Bill Murray actually gave Johnny Depp advice. He's like, be careful with this character. If you're not, you'll be doing this character in every role after this. So after this, pick something that's the complete opposite of this character.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
what he did after that.
No,
Where the
the
buffalo.
Buffalo Roam.
Oh, I would-
What? We should look up
Follow
what
up on that.
What did Johnny Depp do after that?
Let's see, 90.
Did a lot of Tim Burton movies.
Yeah.
Pirate movies.
yeah, the pirate movies came out soon after that, right? Early
Probably.
2000s?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Not that different of a character,
Yeah?
I would say.
No.
Maybe he didn't take his advice.
Always listen to Bill Murray. That's my motto.
I'm curious about Gonzo, because he says at one point that he just got back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Is he a veteran?
I don't think he was.
Because I know it's possibly like a combination of a few different real life people, but I wonder if the actual character is a veteran, because it kind of would explain some of his behavior, like
Yeah.
that he was
PTSD
suffering
style,
PTSD.
Sure.
Possibly.
It definitely
Yeah.
seems like it's a comment on PTSD, even if they're not suggesting that he actually was a soldier.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely correlating.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, especially in the hotel room, the war coverage seems to be on the TV the whole time.
Yeah.
It's always in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's probably like a direct metaphor, like that time.
They
There's
did
a
a
war
good-
going on in the background.
Yeah, they did a good job of like capturing what was going on during that time period when that wasn't the focus of the story, with the Vietnam. And,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was like the third time I watched it because I was trying to figure out like what the hell is he supposed to be doing in Vegas, and I was like, oh, it's the motorcycle thing. He was there on
Yeah.
a real assignment.
And he ditches quite early.
Yeah, and he was known for doing that sometimes, and the editors would get pissed off at him.
Well, obviously.
Yeah,
He blamed it on the sandstorm.
yeah. So, Kristen, here's another trivia question for you. What is the alias that Hunter S. Thompson uses?
Raoul Duke.
Yep. Which is a real alias he used to use when traveling.
Well, I was
Really?
just looking up his
Yeah.
different roles, and it says Raoul Duke is the name of the character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Technically
not
it
meant
is.
to be Hunter S. Thompson.
No. It's in the cast. It's Raoul Duke.
Okay.
He does say at the end when he gets the telegram.
Hunter sent it to me.
Yeah, it says it was for Mr.
Mr. Thompson. Yeah.
But he's like, no, it's from Mr. Thompson. So maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he really is Raul Duke, and Hunter Thompson's back at the office. Behaving himself.
Yeah, it's his alter ego. It's his other split personality.
Yeah.
Did you figure out what he did after?
Yes, here's the movies immediately following, some of which I have not seen. L.A. Without a Map, The Ninth Gate, The Astronaut's Wife. Well, we watched that recently. It's really weird. Sleepy Hollow, Chocolat. Yeah.
What was the first one?
L.A. Without a Map.
What is that? I've never heard of that movie before.
As
Me either.
himself and William Blake.
Huh.
Which is strange. I would like to look this up a little bit because William Blake is also the name of the character he plays in Dead Man.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Dead
Yeah.
Man came out before this, though,
Yeah.
right?
It did. It's one of my very favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
And one of my favorite Johnny Depp films, too. I guess. By way of favorite moviness.
Sleepy Hollow, I remember. Oh, hey, Larry. Welcome.
Larry does not like Sleepy Hollow.
Hunter S. Thompson loved to put random people in a room together and have them interact. He loved to take a politician, a musician, an artist, an actor, and just have these parties where he'd mix up weird people that would never have any business hanging out
Give
together.
them all acid.
I don't know. Maybe there probably was some of that going on, but he just loved seeing how he'd like sit back and like watch how these people would interact with each other and what conversations would come about. And like Harry Dean Stanton, like I said, he was a very close friend of his, and many musicians and a lot of left-wing politicians. Hunter did run for office once in his town where he lived. He ran for sheriff, but he lost. Very big gun nut. He loved guns. He loved explosions. He lived in a ranch. Another thing about Johnny Depp is that when Hunter passed away, Johnny paid for his funeral because Hunter always said that he wanted to be shot out of a cannon across the mountains where he lived. So Johnny Depp forked over the cash and shot him out of a cannon in his ashes. So,
Nice.
Nice.
Oh.
I mean, anyone...
Please shoot my ashes over the Wegmans parking lot. My favorite place on earth, Wegmans.
The parking lot, or
Well, it would be kind of gross to shoot my ashes into the Wegmans, I guess. Like over the produce.
Produce
Section.
You can all take home a piece of me. Your bananas. It's gross, guys. Sorry.
What's some of your guys' favorite scenes in the movie?
when was it that I was really laughing hard, repeatedly? Anybody? oh! I know. It's when Benicio is the one who is really messed up, and they're at that rotating circus bar.
Yeah.
And Johnny Depp's trying to get him off of the rotating bar, and then he finally pushes him or something, and then he's like, "Come on, kid, girl, whatever." Like, it's encouraged him, but
Oh, and you laughed really hard, like right after that or right before it, when Benicio's like trying to reach into his pocket for his keys, and he's like, "I think you're gonna have to drive," and he just keeps bending backwards until he falls down.
Yeah.
He
That
does
might
like
be
a
the best.
complete back bend.
that's right.
Yeah, the entire scene is pure chaos.
The whole
It's
movie
insane.
just kind of seems like one long scene of just,
Yeah. I think the lizard orgy stands out to me. Because it's the Ralph Steadman artwork come to life, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting that right?
Yes,
Ralph Steadman.
yep.
He did the cover artwork or article illustrations.
There was
But,
talk
yeah.
of a animated adaptation of this movie with him in line to do the animation, but it never
That'd be weird.
never went through.
Wow.
There's been several attempts to turn this into a movie. Martin Scorsese, Oliver Stone, they all tried. Some duos that were talked about, Marlon Brando and I want to say like Frank Sinatra or something like that.
As Hunter and Gonzo?
yeah,
That would have been weird.
That would have been super weird.
Dan Aykroyd and Jim Belushi.
Yikes.
Fucking phenomenal. That would have been the best.
I thought that would have been cool. John Cusack was really close to getting the role. He actually produced a play based on the book and it starred his brother. But apparently, once Hunter saw Johnny Depp's audition or whatever, he's like, "That's my guy."
Yeah. It makes
Cool.
sense.
Hunter S. Thompson shaved Johnny Depp's head for him for the role.
It was really
Yeah.
shaped.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Yep.
I thought he looked great bald. I was like,
I was looking at him in one scene and I'm like, God damn, you're still attractive.
How does he do
Even
it?
with
your
Even-
ugly aviators, and
goofy
weird
glasses.
and-
I know.
That's why Gary Busey
All
wanted
sweaty.
a kiss.
yeah.
He seemed like he might have lost weight too for the role. He seemed really gaunt,
Yeah, he's a little thin.
especially some of those scenes
He's got his
Yeah.
where
little,
he was like,
he's got his
Kinda
little short
lanky.
shorts
Kinda
and some of the
lanky,
scenes
yeah.
too, so his little chicken legs
Did
sticking out.
Benicio gain weight?
Oh,
He did.
yeah.
40 pounds.
How many?
40 pounds?
40 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Rough.
intense in this.
Yeah.
I'd say my least favorite scene. I don't know what my favorite scene is, but my least favorite is definitely when they're at the diner and he's like abusing that
So
waitress.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Larry
And
doesn't
isn't
like
she
it
from
either.
Drop Dead Gorgeous? That woman.
She looks familiar.
It's Ellen Barkin,
Who's she?
an actress.
Okay.
Look it
She's
up.
been in lots of stuff.
That's a very uncomfortable scene, though.
And she wore a fake ass.
Oh, she did.
It's a prosthetic ass.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
the mom from Drop Dead
It
Gorgeous
is?
who gets the like beer can like
Yeah.
fried to her hands. Yeah,
That's funny.
probably came out around the same time.
that's one of my favorite movies too. I know Kristen likes that movie.
Well, actually, it's Christopher Knitter.
Oh, it's his favorite movie.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with
Not that I
movie.
don't like it.
You've
but
never seen it?
No.
Oh, that would be a good one to do because it's super
It's
weird.
very funny.
Drop Dead Gorgeous.
It's
Yeah.
very funny.
I think the first scene is my favorite. Backcountry. It's just it
Tobey
sets up the
Maguire?
tone of the movie. It's wild. It's funny. It's before any bad shit really happens. And Tobey Maguire, yeah, that's interaction's really great.
I think it's Elijah Wood. actually.
Elijah-
I really do get those two mixed up a fair amount.
they both got the same eyes.
It's actually
wanna
Topher
call
Grace.
It's Daniel Radcliffe.
I want to call him Topher Grace.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Did you say that today?
Just like a
Well,
second
yeah,
ago.
Sorry. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the same thing. I can't distinguish the two.
They all have that common look,
Yeah.
I guess. The oeuvre.
The verb.
You got any favorite scenes there, Abraham?
I think just the lizard
The
orgy
lizard.
and, like you said,
Oh,
the
yeah,
backcountry because both of them because they remind me of the Ralph Steadman artwork.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was Hunter attempting to get the hotel room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My name?
Struggling so hard.
That lady is somebody too.
Oh yeah, the one that turned into an eel.
Yeah. That lady
That was fucking great.
Oh yeah,
too.
eel lady.
really familiar as well. But yeah, that was very well.
Was she the frog-eyed woman?
Yes.
That was
probably.
Lorraine Newman,
Oh
I
well.
believe, of old SNL fame.
Oh.
I don't know if that was the right character, but I'm just
Yeah,
looking
I-
it up. She was
I
in
don't
it.
think that was the.
Oh, no. Desk
Hotel.
clerk at Mint Hotel.
Yeah.
Catherine Hellmond.
How do we know her?
She was in Soap. You ever watch Soap? She was in Brazil, another...
Oh, I
Ooh,
just
Brazil.
watched Brazil. Maybe that's
maybe
why.
that's... She was in Overboard.
Oh.
You guys
ooh.
remember that one?
Of course
Is that
I
Goldie
remember
Hawn?
Overboard.
Yeah.
Come on. Kurt Russell.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, speaking of other cameos, Mark Harmon. You guys know who Mark
Oh,
Harmon
yeah,
is?
he
was
From
at
Summer
the-
School, and he's on
Yeah,
those
that's right. He was
He was
television
at the
shows.
bar or whatever.
Yeah. He was the guy at the bar who was a magazine reporter. Vern Troyer, Mini-Me, he was in there.
I have a question actually. So that part where they're like trying to follow the race in the truck, and they're all like covered in dust, and then he starts to think that he's like in war, like, under siege, and then another truck pulls up and they have a dead deer strapped to the car, and they're like, "Where's the
Bunch
race?
of guns.
race?
And, yeah.
What outfit are you with?" I was like, "Is that real?" I could not. There's so many times where I was like, "Did that happen?"
Yeah, I kind of had the same thing.
I
Like,
always-
are we supposed to think this is just a hallucination?
Well,
or
yeah. I think partially it's probably a group of hunters. But he
Yeah.
was hallucinating that it was because of the Vietnam
drew-
War that
yeah.
they were military.
Why are they hunting right near the race?
Don't know. I mean, it's again, it could be just a straight hallucination or just him daydreaming and being overtired too, or
Maybe they
Too
weren't
many drugs.
hunters. Maybe they're another group of reporters just wanting to know where the race is in the middle of a dust storm, and
Just
Hunter's
happened to be hunting.
so screwed up. He's like, these guys have guns. They're
yeah.
Maybe he hallucinated the
the deer
body of the deer.
Yeah,
Something like
Well, I
that.
noticed in that scene the dust completely settled instantly, too. It was like, oh, and it's clear.
yeah.
And there's a truck
For
coming.
their yeah.
So I don't know if it's supposed to be real or not. But
We may never know.
I know.
It's impossible to know.
They did capture the one thing about Hunter's personality too that I always liked is that Hunter was known for ordering everything on the menu. So all that room service stuff was kind of his personality. Like he would order like 2 of everything. He'd have brunches where he'd have fruit and like 2 or
Grapefruit.
3 breakfasts and cocktails
And eat none of it.
and like box it up or take it with him and just he'd be sitting at a table by himself with like everything. He just loved to do that.
And then he would smear outlines on the wall. Ketchup.
Ketchup.
What a
Disgusting.
life.
Funny.
He was a very interesting person.
Well, I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah. Do you think it holds up over time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know there's not really a narrative to take away from it.
Yeah. I mean, it was very visually stimulating. And it made me feel anxious and it made me laugh. And I think for a while there, I purposefully never watched it. Like, sure, I had an opportunity, but I wasn't interested because I didn't do drugs and I was like, I'm not going to get it, you know. So I kind of took a naive take on it. But no, it was very,
glad you watched it?
very entertaining. And I do have an appreciation for Terry Gilliam's work and how he can make me feel, even if it's uncomfortable.
How do you
know.
rank it with his other movies?
Well, Baron Munchausen is number 1.
I've never seen that one.
It's a good one.
I always watched it when I was a kid. So,
He did Time Bandits, right?
Yes.
yeah.
And
I've only seen Munchausen by proxy.
Ah,
He did Pan's Labyrinth, right?
No,
that's
it's good.
Guillermo.
Ah,
Del
damn it.
Toro.
I was going to say that's my favorite, but
Uh,
still is, I guess.
Monty
Yeah,
Python.
he did all the Monty Python.
Yeah.
Do you think it has him? Like, if you didn't know it was him that directed this,
Yeah.
would you
Oh,
be able to tell?
absolutely him.
Yeah.
100%.
He has a distinct style, I think.
Yeah, he's really good at creating a false reality.
A feeling.
A feeling. It's not like real life. You know, you definitely know you're in like a surreal situation when you watch one of his movies.
Yeah. But that's kind of cool to know that he never did drugs. And he
Yeah.
just kind of... But you have
fascinated
to
by
wonder, like, what his dreams are like. No, I mean, really, like...
Well, all of his movies are kooky. Like
I know.
Yeah.
He probably has the mind and the brain to know better. Like...
Yeah.
He's like, well, my mind is already out there, so
I don't need any help.
let's not push it.
Yeah.
Right.
He kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of Michel Gondry, like
I was
his
definitely thinking that.
type of movies that also like are just weird, almost dreamlike, surreal, you know, interpretations. And yeah, how do these people do that?
I know.
It's amazing.
Just a very vivid imagination.
And making that become reality, though.
Yeah.
Putting that on a screen.
Well, and what an art to be able to read that book and try to interpret it.
I just remembered
some
my
way.
dream.
Oh.
You just remembered what?
My dream!
We need to hear this.
Oh,
Oh my
What
god! Okay. I had this dream last night, knowing that I was gonna be watching this movie today. That Willa, Matt, Sarah, Peter were doing this new drug, and it was raw
Adrenochrome.
meat. And they just had to eat raw meat, and so like you guys went and did it, right? And then Matt came home and was like, I don't know, I didn't really feel anything first time, but since I paid $30, I'm gonna do my other half tonight. So he's like scooping. It looks like ground pink beef
Ew.
into his mouth and
Wow.
eating it, and I'm like disgusted. I'm just like, whoa. And that was my dream last night. Isn't that weird?
Interesting.
Weird.
You guys want to trip some balls on
On beef?
raw meatballs?
Yeah.
Spoiled beef.
Tripping meatballs, bro.
Mad cow.
I would watch our friend KJ eat raw meat. He did no problem with that. Do it all the time.
Well, it is like a delicacy.
And then he would
right?
trip and fall.
Tartar.
Steak tartare.
Steak tartare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yuck.
It'll
Gross.
get fucked up.
Man, I just need somewhere to cook it.
Lyle love it. Lyle love it.
Got all the fixins. I've been thinking about that part where a kind of like square dude walks in on them in the bathroom, and
That was funny.
Flea is like licking the powder off of Hunter S. Thompson, and then I just love the idea of that forever haunting him. Like, what were those guys doing that was so great that I'm missing out on? That's kind of like, to me, what was haunting him was just that these two people were getting off on something that he was never gonna understand.
They cut to him like shuddering.
Yeah.
You can like see
Yeah.
him visibly shuddering thinking about it.
I just love that idea. It's really funny.
So
And you know he was square because he had a tie on,
Right.
not
What
a
was he
red
doing
flannel.
at that club? Narc.
What-
Yeah, really.
Who was the band supposed to be that was on stage? Was that
Jefferson
also Jefferson Airplane?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, apparently, in one of the flashback sequences, the Grateful Dead were in the background.
Oh.
Oh.
Was it during that scene?
Could have been that one
Could've
because it
been.
was Jefferson
Maybe-
Airplane that was
Maybe it's
in the
supposed to be
soundtrack.
Grateful
But
Dead,
I mean, they're Jefferson Starship now, so
yeah, or just Starship.
or just Starship.
Yeah,
They're still a band?
sure.
I mean, yes.
You still playing out?
I was thinking
Probably
about
state fairs and stuff.
how good of a soundtrack this is, probably. The
Yeah.
soundtrack.
They wanted
Yummy,
one of
yummy,
the-
yummy.
they did use a Rolling Stones song, but the one they wanted, they weren't able to use. They wanted "Sympathy for the Devil," but it was too expensive.
Oh.
The last song of the movie, the Rolling Stones song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which they got, what, Jumping Jack Flash?
Jumpin' Jack
Yes.
Flash.
Yeah.
It made me think of The Big Lebowski a little bit
Yeah.
because of the surrealism and like the drug references, but also the soundtrack is very much of that era and that vibe. There was even like Bob Dylan, some of the same artists.
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski.
And I was thinking about what was I thinking about? Tom Hanks,
You stone.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah.
A lot
yeah,
of, like,
a lot of-
similar-
Oh, the
Forrest
music
Gump.
in that,
Mhm.
yeah. Because Credence. I don't think it was in this movie, but it's in both of those movies.
Ooh, bonus question. What was the song Debbie Reynolds was singing when they got kicked out?
Don't know.
Anybody?
I don't, yeah.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely
Yes,
Hearts
I wrote it
Club
down.
What, really?
Yeah.
Should have
Missed
referenced.
that.
Uh-huh.
I know. I love that when the door guy's like, "Well, you guys can go in." He told us we
Stay
could
in the
go
back,
in as
no
long as
smoking.
we went in the stood quietly in the back and didn't smoke. And I was like, "Well, that's obviously not gonna happen."
Before he was done counting his money, they had
Yeah.
already been kicked out.
Yeah.
What do you think they did to get kicked out? I always wondered that. I always wanted to like imagine like what the fuck they were in there for 30.
They did
fucking
They
something.
seconds.
probably rushed the stage.
Something
Oh,
lewd
yeah.
to Debbie
They
Reynolds.
probably just went right up to the stage and was like, "Yeah, sing it."
Ridiculous. What else do we want to talk about?
Anybody have final thoughts on the movie?
Final thoughts. It's a horror movie disguised as a biopic. No, it was interesting. I'm not gonna watch it too many more times. I don't think. I've gotten enough out of it. Those days are over. You know.
Yeah, I think you can get the message.
Yeah.
A couple viewings, but it's fun to go back and pick out the little details, like
Oh
the
yeah.
stuff in the background.
Every time I see it, I see
The
something
little-
different.
bits of dialogue you don't get right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays kind of like the beginning of Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
That's another
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is literally like a PTSD
Acid trip.
acid
Yeah.
trip freak out in a hotel room, smashing mirrors, and bleeding.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it has something in common with some of those Vietnam War picks. You know, like you said,
Yeah.
Oliver Stone tried to make this movie, and I think a lot of directors saw that like American dream, the death of the American dream message as like an attractive subject for a film. I think
And it's fitting that it takes place in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
Sin City, That's where the American dream goes to die.
I think it permeates our culture in a way that we don't always think about. Like right down to what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I feel is like the response to this almost like the trying to put a positive spin on this because it seems like it started around the same time 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I agree with
The
Paul.
underbelly we don't like to, talk about.
Yeah.
Again, back to that, tirade about how we lost that generation. Peace and love wasn't enough. They had to deal with the darkness, and it didn't work out so well. Oh, I just brought it down. I just brought it down.
I like how this one has been going, actually.
Paul, did you smoke some drugs before this?
I smoked all the drugs, guys.
He's on mescaline right now. He's on, what's it called?
Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome.
That's why we know it's no laughing matter.
I got this pineal gland off of some guy in the parking lot.
I'm chewing on his third eye right now.
That's messed up.
That's gross, guys. Ew. I don't really have anything else to say about the movie, I guess.
Should we go with what we've been watching?
Yeah, I want to talk about something I watched this morning that reminds me a little bit of this. I watched The Dirt,
Oh.
which is the Motley Crue
Yep.
like biopic produced by the band members. Actually.
Based on the book they collectively wrote.
Yeah, so it's a very inside look at a lot of wild behavior, trashing hotel rooms,
Jeez.
drug abuse,
Sex.
Yes, a lot of
So
lurid
many
sex.
BJs.
A lot of
many.
fucking each other's girlfriends and
Yikes.
overdosing on heroin.
This is what
Death.
you watch when I'm sleeping in the
This is what I watched this morning while you were still in bed. But it was I found it really fun, and a part of it's because I already knew, the story of the band. I'm kind of a fan. I put them up there among some of the better, like, hair metal 80s, hard rock songs. So I recommend it for sure. And
Yeah.
but it is similarly like a picture of the decadence, like the the damage,
Ugliness.
the kind of glorification of drug abuse and
Rock
the
and roll.
lifestyle. Yeah, the touring lifestyle, I think, is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot about what Fear and Loathing is too, because it's about
being on the road.
yeah, living out of hotels, living out of a suitcase.
Destroying hotel rooms.
All you've got is an entire case of grapefruits.
Beer and soap.
Yeah, a case of beer, lots of soap.
Just leave towels and soap at the door.
At midnight.
Anyway, I wanted to tie those two together a
Sure.
little bit. But what have you guys been watching?
Well, tonight's the night.
Oh, yeah.
Game of
Yeah,
Thrones
as we're recording this,
returns.
the day that Game of Thrones comes back.
T-minus, I don't
Been
know how many
a
hours.
long wait.
Just a few hours remain.
What about
Less
18
than 3.
months, something like that?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're all looking forward to the return of Game of Thrones. And that's what I've been watching a lot of.
Rewatching.
Repeating. I also have been watching The Americans.
Is that good?
Yes.
I need to start watching that.
Yeah. I get very into that one. It's on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
Cool.
So.
There's so many things I've been watching since the last time we did this.
Yeah, same.
A lot of movies. I watched Vice, which was really good. The Adam McKay movie about Donald Cheney. Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld. Very good. Captain Marvel, I saw that. That was really good. I saw Shazam. That was really good. by far my favorite movie that I've seen this year is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the animated movie. Fantastic. Like, seriously, one of my favorite movies of all time now. It's so good.
Sweet.
And I'm not a comic book guy. I've never read a comic book in my life.
Okay.
But this movie blew me away. And as far as television, I watched the first season of Pen 15 on Hulu, and I recommend that. That
Penis.
is yes. It's a show about a couple of girls in 8th grade, and they're played by girls who are in their 30s now. The rest of the cast is age appropriate, except for these two, and they
Weird.
do a good job of pulling off that age, and it's a lot of that awkward, uncomfortable weirdness of that time that you always think back and cringe. They do a good job of putting that on screen and making it funny.
Cool.
So check that out. And a podcast I just started listening to, not another Dungeons and Dragons podcast, as that's what it's called. It's by the College Humor guys. I don't know if you guys are into College Humor at all, or those guys, but it's really funny. A bunch of funny people play Dungeons and Dragons if you like that sort of thing. And that's all.
Nice.
That's all?
That's it.
Is there anything you don't like?
Did you watch anything that you didn't like?
I'm sure I did, but I don't think
Does
about
Paul
that.
like everything
I focus
a
on the
little bit?
positive.
No.
Yeah. I
He doesn't
it.
like
Silver
scaries.
lining.
Oh. Right.
We watched season 2 of the OA. I don't know if you've seen that show. It's just like super strange sci-fi weirdness.
It's been recommended to
You
me.
told me
And-
not to watch it because you didn't like the way it ended.
I
in the
didn't say
first
that.
season.
No,
I
that was
find-
another friend.
I find the first season very strange, and I found the second season very satisfying. Like, I couldn't stop watching it. So, and you can't really do one without the other.
Okay.
The first one is just different. It takes a little time to like figure out what's going on, and but it's like, I don't know. I've never really seen anything like it. It's so. I just love things that are fucking weird. That you're just like, huh? What? Why? Wow.
Remind me of the premise of this again.
It's like there's this kind of like crazy guy who's like a doctor, kind of, who's obsessed. He's like obsessed with people who have near-death experiences, and he kidnaps them. So it's this woman, the OA, who is like trapped in this guy's basement with these other people, and but it also has these side stories where she escapes, and then in season 2 they learn to escape in a very different way that you might expect, and they all end up in a completely different scenario. And I don't want to
Okay,
spoil it,
yeah.
but it's just fascinating and
Yeah.
strange, and I thought the second season was especially cool and weird. So I'd recommend it if you like weird sci-fi shit.
Definitely.
That's just kind of like, huh? What's happening? I liked it.
Yeah.
It's
Quite
been
a lot.
recommended to me by a couple people now.
And the main actress, whose name I can't think of right now, Britt something,
Marling?
Britt Marling. She's gorgeous and like just really compelling actress.
Yeah, I think she writes or helped create the show.
Yeah, and then apparently the guy who plays the villain on the show is her real life husband, right?
According to
According to the
part
show.
of the show.
Yeah, it's really
but
strange.
We don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really great.
Okay. I take your word for it. I'll watch
Yeah.
it.
So that's on Netflix. The OA.
Cool.
Yeah.
Charlie?
I also saw Captain Marvel and enjoyed it, and I saw Us, and I highly
Oh,
recommend
yeah, I
going
forgot
to
about
see
Us.
that.
Us was really good.
As far as TV goes, I haven't been watching anything new, really. Just those two and the episode 9 trailer on repeat all weekend.
That's Charlie's new favorite show.
Yeah.
Episode 9
Trailer.
trailer.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Over and over and over.
Yeah, the day it came out, I came home and Abe had it lined up on Hulu or on YouTube, waiting for me to get home to watch it together. And I was like, "Oh, I already watched it at work." He's like, "Well, I already watched it too." But it was cute.
Doesn't
Yeah.
count till you watch it together.
Took
We
me
had
by
it all lined up.
surprise. Yeah, usually I know they announce when it's coming or whatever. I know that Star Wars Celebration's going on.
Right.
I was just kind of taken by
We've
surprise.
been pretty busy, so
It was pleasant.
yeah.
Also, they released some footage of their show, The Mandalorian. Got good reviews. The trailer did.
What show?
Whose show?
Disney
Oh.
Plus. It's going to be on their streaming service starting in November. Which they released a price for it. It's going to be $6.99 a month, which isn't bad.
What else is going to be on Disney Plus?
All the Marvel movies, all the Disney movies.
Oh shit!
Every episode of The Simpsons.
One more subscription I need to.
No, and Netflix is going up.
They're doing shows. They're doing new Marvel shows too for Scarlet Witch, Loki, Hawkeye, and I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That Scarlet Witch is my favorite Marvel character. She's just super badass.
Pretty sweet.
We were just rewatching Infinity War, and I'm like, God, she's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, she just has the coolest power, I think.
Well, yeah.
What's that?
She just like moves shit around with red waves.
She's got the Force.
Basically, she's a Jedi.
Telekinesis and
Who plays her?
One of the
Elizabeth
Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the twins.
Yeah, she's the youngest sister, I think.
Yeah.
Plays her. Technically, her power is to curse. Like, she can, like, curse people and all that cool stuff, and also, like, telekinesis.
She's a witchy woman.
Yep.
Cool.
Ooh.
She's got a hot boyfriend too.
Vision?
Yeah.
Paul Bettany?
Sassy.
And he's got a pool table too.
That's right. Does this guy know how to party or what?
Is this a plug for a future episode of the show?
It
Who
is.
has not seen
knows?
Wayne's World?
We
Please
know someone.
contact
Sam.
us. Oh my god.
Katie
Yes.
Sam.
Oh right, Katie's Sam.
I saw Sam
that's
yesterday.
right.
He's already been on the show a couple times. So.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
done some minis with us. So Sam, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you.
Get ready.
That's so great.
nice.
That's so scary.
Great. Well, I think everybody got in here with what they were watching or listening to recently. So
Yeah, any other plugs, everybody?
No, I mean,
I'd like to plug my cousin's
find me
band,
on the,
actually. Grizzle, Gryzzle. He is, he raps, and the band plays, like, big band jazz and funk, and it's kind of great. He's in college still. His
Nice.
name's Will Landon. He's
very
awesome
talented
kid, but they just, they have their album on Spotify now, so
Cool.
I'm just so proud of them,
Sweet.
and
Sure.
it's pretty cool and funky. I'd recommend checking it out, giving them some more subscribes on Spotify. Yeah.
Heck
good.
yeah.
Do you want to plug yourself, Kristen?
Yeah,
You
no.
want some clicks on social media?
No.
Leave me alone, everybody.
Well, you can always find me on Twitter at @EnemaBagJones_.
Bringing it back.
Bringing it back. I'm also on Instagram, Paulus80. That's about it.
You can find at Neil Willow Rose on Twitter and Instagram if you want.
And follow the podcast,
And please.
PCI Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And give us an email. Another email. Come on, we like these.
We'd love to answer your fan intervention questions.
Mm-hmm.
PCIpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. Check it.
Boom.
It's the only account that I actually get an alert for when I get an email because I'm just so excited.
So blow up Willa's phone, everyone.
What?
Blow it up.
Rate and review us on iTunes,
Please.
Apple Podcasts.
Smash that subscribe button. That's what they say on YouTube.
Smash it.
Oh yeah, we're on YouTube now.
Find us on YouTube.
prefer to
No
listen on
video
YouTube?
yet, but the audio is on
If you
YouTube.
do prefer to listen on YouTube, our newer episodes will now be on there too.
Cool.
Because why not?
Awesome.
We're everywhere.
Put it everywhere.
Everywhere. Wow, that was a good episode,
And
guys.
hopefully
Thanks.
by the time you guys are back, my bedroom will be done and we'll be back in the pod loft. But I
Move
guess we'll
back
see
into the
because it
studio.
might.
I kind of like it down here. I don't know.
Yeah, it's alright.
It's a nice view with the bay
Yeah,
windows,
that's
I know. I like the light.
the cactus,
Yeah.
keeping us
How big
company.
my cactus
We've never eaten
Yeah.
a meal at our dining room table, so we might as well
Yeah.
do a podcast here.
Why not?
It's always covered in dirty cat footprints, so.
Dirty cat paws.
We're feeding the world with content.
That's right. Meaningful drug content. Cool, peace.
Bye.
Bye.